Just to, like, with my family and friends. Like, I choose to be agnostic because, like I said before, it's everything. And so, this plays, I guess, a big role because it carries on with me.
I mean, it plays a big role in my life. It helps keep me grounded. It, gives me focus, and like it's influenced a lot of my morals and beliefs.
Religion doesn't really play a role in my life at all.
Well, I really don't see it as a role per se because I don't really do anything religious in my life. The most I've ever done was go to church on Sundays with my parents, and that was a long time ago.
In general, Islam plays a very large role in my life because, first of all, I mean, as you can see, I wear the hijab, it has an effect on how I act towards people as well as the way I dress and things like that, because a major part in Islam is that we act modestly and we don't attract too much attention to ourselves, and also it affects the way I act towards people in the sense that I'm not rude to people, at least I try not to be. Also, I can't date, it's not permitted in Islam because of different reasons. What else is there? It has an impact on the way I spend my day. I mean, every time I have a schedule, I have to plan out what time I'm gonna pray, when I'm gonna have a chance to do so. It also affects just what I eat, especially because halal and haram, people have this misconception. Halal is not just pork, at least from how I've been taught. It's actually that animals have to be cut in a certain way, they have to be killed in a more moral and the least painful way possible. And so I'm very specific about that. Like, for example, I don't have a lot of cheeses and things like that because they contain enzymes from beef and chicken and things like that, so I have to be very careful about that. And yeah, so it has a very large role in my life.
So God, I don't call God a he or she because that's humanizing God, and I just call God God, first off. I communicate with God by talking in my head, just thinking about stuff. The way that God communicates back to me is through results, not really voice, not literally communicating, but results or something that happens.
Okay, so for God, there's no particular image that comes in my mind. Actually, if I do think of like a picture form of him, I'll only think of like arms, like open arms, because that's how I view him as, just like always open and always accepting, like how a parent should be. And as for communication, anything I think can communicate with him. Like, you don't have to like sit down and go to church and like do all of the ceremonies and everything. I think you can just thinking about him as a way for communication.
Well, I don't believe in a God, but if I did believe in a God, I don't think it's the God that people describe. I think that a religion that can save bad people in the world or let terrible things happen isn't worth believing in.
So, as a Christian, I do believe in a God, and the God. Basically, the God of, I wouldn't say the God of the Jews, but yeah, it's the same God. I do not associate it with the God of the Muslims, which most people do, but it's different. What he is like, it would basically, God is love. I would have to describe. That's the most basic word you can use. As far as communicating with him, it's basically in the sense that God is everywhere. He's all-knowing. So basically knows everything. You can talk to him whenever you want. I mean, prayer isn't just sit down and put your hands together and close your eyes. It's whatever you want to. He communicates with me through whenever I read the Bible. Basically, I believe that when you get into theological stuff, God is three persons. It is seems to be three people. And the Holy Spirit, which is everywhere, basically communicates with me through either sort of, I guess you guys, feelings, but it's mostly through that he's able to influence people who wrote the Bible and have them speak the truth in the Bible. And that's what that relates to. So I can read the Bible and actually gather what I should be doing as a Christian.
I believe in one God, and I do communicate with him because when I'm sad and stuff, I always feel like there's something there. I have a purpose, and like I see it through my friends. Like my best friend I met in a time where I was very sad and I didn't look forward to anything. But then I look up to nothing, and I meet people and I see God through him, and that's what I believe, because everybody has God in them, no matter how bad it might seem.
Well, when I was younger, I actually used to envision God as being my rabbi, and of course as I've gotten older, you know, that's changed a little bit, but I definitely envision God being an accepting and understanding person, but more than that, well, I suppose not a person, but more than that, God just kind of accepts people for who they are, but also definitely does have that advantage of kind of knowing what life has in store for them somewhat. And in terms of communicating with God, there's certainly prayer, but prayer takes on a lot of different shapes and forms, so you know, there's not a set time of day or a way you have to pray. It's just more that you make an effort to communicate with God if you want God to communicate with you. So, I kind of think of it as more of less words more than actions, but things happen for a reason, and you know, I don't know if I believe in a predetermined path or anything, but I definitely think there are different there are signs sometimes about how your life is going or where it should go.
Well, I do believe in God. I've always believed in God. Even when I was completely agnostic, I did believe in God. I just didn't know how or what role he played or anything like that. But I think that God has some master plan, and he's working us towards it, but we do have to learn things ourselves too. And by doing that, he's making us go through certain hardships that sometimes we really don't understand. But going to church, I realized that, in my opinion, God is with everyone, and he does want to have a relationship with everyone. So I'm coming to church. I actually started praying, and so far that's the only way I've been communicating with him. I've always kind of used signs as a way of saying, okay, I'll go with this, but just recently I realized that it might have been signs from God. So.
God is a happy person who thinks that all humans should be equal, all men should be equal. And just to get specific, he's Caucasian with dark brown hair. No, wait, no, he's Caucasian and he has white hair. That's true. And to communicate with God, you just have to go through prayer, and if he answers it, that's how we communicate.
I really don't know everything I believe about God.
I'm not so sure that I believe in a God. I mean, I'm a huge believer in science. I do like to believe that God started everything, like a deist, that he was a watchmaker, you know, clockmaker, whatever it is, that he set things in motion and then just let it roll, and he's more of a silent watcher. But, I mean, some things are just too incredible to think that it happened by chance. Like just the whole creation of the world, and even though evolution does explain how eyes came about, it's incredible. But what do I believe he's like? I guess, I mean, all-powerful, just the way he's described all-powerful, all-loving. I don't think that, I mean, I've read some people and heard some people say that what happened in Japan is because they were atheists. That's wrong. I don't think a God would do that. Why would God kill a bunch of people? Just teach them not to be atheists? No, that doesn't make any sense. He's stopped doing that. Okay, Noah's Ark, the rainbow, he said he wasn't gonna kill humans to teach them a lesson anymore. Yeah, he said he wasn't going to do that. I don't think he's going to go against his word. I mean, I'm saying he just because that's what everyone describes him as, but no, he could not be a he. God is all powerful, all loving, all knowing. If the God I might believe in, because I'm not sure, he knows what's going to happen. He does things for a reason. I mean, there are a lot of times where I'll be sad about something, but I know that he knows what's going on. He knows what's going to happen. I don't really pray very much unless I go to church, and then I pray just because I feel like I should. But sometimes when I communicate with the God that I might believe in, I think little things in my head. I don't necessarily, pray, but I mean, he's all-knowing, so if I'm thinking, God, help me out, or God, thank you for this, I know he knows that I'm thinking it. So those are my little communications towards him. And I also feel like I'm doing a service for him when I do try and not say God's name in vain, or if someone says something offensive against God. Okay, here's a good example. So in men's chorale, a lot of us just like to try and goof around. Me and my friend and I like to goof around. Except there's this one song we're singing that's a hymn, and we try our best not to goof around in that song just because I would find it disrespectful because it is a hymn. How does he communicate with me? Everything he does in my life is a message from him. I don't think he actually sends like I'm going to have a dream and then hear God's voice talking to me, but I mean, he communicates with things, just little things he does, and things that happen in my life.
I think God's very forgiving, and he always gives us chances to make the wrong or right choice in life, and we have to try and do what we think is better. And I usually pray to talk to God, even if it's just a, hey, how are you? Just like to get feelings out.
I'm not really sure how to describe God. I just kind of see him as kind of just being there, not really having a physical presence. I communicate him, I pray to him and stuff like that, but otherwise, I'm not really sure how he would communicate to me. I mean, I guess through dreams, I get dreams, stuff like that, through symbols that he puts forward in everyday messages, I guess. I'd say that's how he communicates with me.
He basically communicates with me when I pray to him, or when I'm just sitting there and I'll just think, I'll just start thinking about like my religion or what I could have done better each day. I basically feel like he's telling me, this is what I want you to do, and I think you can do this a little better, and that he just, believes in me.
I feel like God is basically a benevolent father-like figure, and we typically communicate with him through prayer.
I believe in God in the sense of, I believe that I don't believe in a supernatural God or kind of a divine God. I believe that every person kind of has, as cliche as it sounds, like a God within them, and they, I believe in humans. I believe in like human relationships, and I believe in love, and I think I don't really have a God that I necessarily communicate with. I believe that, all my actions and what I believe in are from myself, and I don't really answer to a supernatural force.